Good morning. Good morning. We just dropped the kids off. It is cold in California. It was like 39 degrees. I think it's cold. So I am getting ready to take Mick for a walk, but it is Wellness Wednesday. So it's Wellness Wednesday. I am Dr. Patty Ann Ford, and every Wednesday I hop on here and I talk some concept in health and wellness. And so the theme, if you're on my newsletter and my practice, if you follow me on social media, I'm dabbling in TikTok, I am on Instagram. Social media for me is this really fun platform to throw ideas around, share, some of my life, what's going on. I've been really loving Facebook lately because I get to see these memories of my dad, which makes me feel good. So we're talking about clean eating today. What is clean eating? What does that even mean? If you're watching this and you want to interact, maybe type what you think that means, or if you're watching the replay, you can just kind of absorb some of this information. I've been a dietitian for 20 years, and when I first started, this term wasn't necessarily around. It was very whole foods, plant-based, and we were kind of starting the low carb obsession. It was in my college years, people started to do it, like 2000, 2004. And then prior to that, though, it was very low fat. So then we kind of started to really look at the types of foods that we're eating, and blossomed this, weeds can blossom, but blossomed this trend of saying I eat clean, or I eat unprocessed, or I eat nothing that's refined. I've even heard people say don't eat anything that's white. So however you subjectively describe it, that's the nuance. Is there's no one size fits all definition for clean eating. It so depends upon the person. Talking with thousands of people about their health habits, everyone eats differently and for different reasons. And so why you eat clean eating, how you're doing it is all different. There's so many different factors. So it's really hard to have this conversation on clean eating is good, clean eating is bad. You can't really put it in a box. But the nuance is clean eating is a box. When you describe your type of eating, it's like a category that we like to put things into, because our brain works three ways. You have systemic thinking, which means you think about ideas or systems or policies, like that's good, that's a good law, or that's a good behavior, that's a bad behavior, that's in law, or that's in line with policy, that's against policy. All of these things are like man-made rules, right? We have made up these definitions to describe certain behaviors. And again, it's not good or bad, it's just a system, it's a policy. The second way we think is we think about things. This is called extrinsic. We think about money, cars, houses, looks, status, jobs. It's just things we, think extrinsic motivation. What extrinsically motivates you? Could be food, all these things. Intrinsic has to do with people, has to do with interactions with people and friends and family. And when it involves a person, that's intrinsic. As a human species, we have intrinsic ability to comprehend things. We have infinite value. So when you talk about clean eating, you're kind of merging all these schools of thought. You're merging this systemic policy, you're putting it on food, an extrinsic thing, but then it's involving a person. When you involve three things like that, using a systemic ideology, it can get really messy, because sometimes it can be really clear cut. All right, so let's do the clear cut. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I obeyed the law, so I'm in line with, function. And you can leave it as that. Sometimes when people use systemic thinking and then say, well, I obeyed the law, I'm perfect, I'm good. I did the right thing. Okay? And then that becomes an intrinsic value. I'm a clean eater, so I'm morally better than the dirty eater. Do you see how easy it is to tip into a school of thought where clean eating has now become a moral compass? And I see it all the time. I see it all the time where it's just a little nuanced, where the family household has this value that dirty foods, junk foods are not allowed in the household because they kill our body. I think that's a very hefty statement. Shame kills way more than sugar. And I definitely think that sugar and different nutrients have an effect on your biological health. That's science. That would be foolish to not know those interactions. So if there's a medical need to interact with foods in a different way medically, you want to be very aware of how that's interacting with your intrinsic value. For instance, type 1 diabetes, I've worked a ton with, where there's a medical need to interact with food in a very particular way. And if you're not careful, especially with kiddos, little kids, sometimes the language that we use around food, don't have that's bad for your blood sugar. If the kid has that food, then they can feel like a bad person, and it's a really fine line to cross. So you want to make sure you keep the behavior separate than the person, especially with kiddos, especially with their food, especially with their health. Okay? So clean eating can carry a ton of judgment if it's not followed correctly. It can carry a ton of guilt if you're eating outside of this plan. And then it can carry a ton of shame as, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm eating dirty, whatever that is, dirty. And so I'm going to offer another school of thought that there's no bad food. There's no bad food. Food just is. Foods can carry different nutrients. Foods can carry different biological mechanisms, but they're not bad. And the words that you use matter because words carry energy. So if you fall into a clean eating program, I'm not here to say it's bad or good. Maybe watch the words that you're using, especially if you're around little ones, because the words that you're using, they hear and they model, and then they're going to take that information and teach the next generation. And so, again, I found a post that like 10 years ago that I was like, oh, I abhor clean eating, and it was a very, this was 10 years ago. So I was 10 years younger in my career. And I think it was learning and navigating. And so I used really strong language as I abhor the term clean eating. I think I'm learning it's a way people use to describe their food intake. Again, not because it's bad or good, but they're trying to put it into a box. They're trying to systematize it. They're trying to make it an idea that can feel safe, that can feel comfort. As humans, we love boxes. We love saying, oh, well, I'm a color yellow, or I'm a number 5, or whatever. We love identity. And sometimes the need to over-identify is because we have no idea who we are. We have no idea who we are. We have no idea what we're feeling. So if I can identify myself as this type of person, I'm a clean eater. Okay, I fit in this box, and it's comfortable. It's safe. So if that's your comfort, if that's your safety net, hold on to it because we want you to survive. But also know that it's not a savior. Clean eating is not the answer for everybody. And you're not always right. And so when you meet messages or see messages that preach something is right for everybody and this is what is going to cure all of the diseases, just take caution because that doesn't exist. There is no answer for everybody when it comes to food and health. It can be a slippery slope to try to find a system that works for every single human. Every human story is different, and your story matters, and it's important. The systems are there to help you have structure, but you are more important than the system. And so don't let clean eating become more important than a person or a person's feelings or a person's story. And so if the box helps you and supports you and doesn't hurt other people in your life, then I'd say it's a win. But if it is causing damage to you or dysfunction in your joy in your life or dysfunction in your relationships, doesn't allow you to be present, doesn't allow you to connect. Ultimately, at our core, we want to connect. Think about a baby. A baby just wants to be held. It just wants to connect. And if there's injury there in the first 6 months to a year, there's a lifetime of trying to find that connection. And that's a psychology that I find fascinating. All right. To wrap up, clean eating is a systemic idea. Be mindful of how that goes into your life, how that involves people, how that involves you. And if that systemic idea is squashing your value, squashing other people's value or experience, it's not serving you. If it's supporting you, if it's supporting your interactions with other people, then I would say, heck yeah, the structure is kind of giving you some freedom. 9 times out of 10, that's not the case, but it can be the case. So use structure wisely with food. Use it if it's serving. And if you have any questions, or if this was interesting to you, if you want to know how your brain works in these 3 different schools of thought, typically what we don't know, right? Your brain works mostly subconsciously. We have more subconscious thoughts than conscious thoughts. And so in order to grow, you need to bring to light what these subconscious patterns are. And you have 3 minds. You have your brain, you have your heart, and you have your gut. Your heart and your gut, they actually don't speak words. They're in feelings. And we have come up with these words to describe these feelings like sad, happy. But feelings is actually an action. It's actually something that you experience, and then our brain has put a word to it. So you actually can't say, oh, this is sad, because the sad that you feel today is going to be different than the sad you feel tomorrow. That's the same with food. The Oreo that you have today is going to be different tomorrow because you have different tastes, different sensations, different present in the moment, and it's all different. Your gut bacteria changes every time you eat, changes every time you poop. And no matter if you're a clean eater or a dirty eater, you have to deal with poop. You have to deal with crap. You're going to have to get rid of it somehow. So let's just navigate this world with a little bit less judgment, a little bit more kindness, and use systems to support the people in your life, not suffocate them. All right, have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions, or if you want to measure these schools of thought, I can do it for free, and then I can debrief you for free, and then we can see if I have something that I can offer to you or someone in your life to help you uncover some of these subconscious thought patterns and be a better leader of your health, a better leader of your business, and a better leader of your life. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Happy Wednesday. Bye.